People ask me all the time what I mix Total ISO in. Honestly, I mix it with everything. Water, egg whites.
What the f, Jay?
Capone, Daisy!
Jay, seriously? Don't.
You got the life.
Who?
You.
Why?
Because look at this. That's the life right here. That's like entourage life. So we're gonna be by the pool today doing some Q&Jay, you guys. So bear with us with the noise. It's not that loud. It's kind of nice. You ready for this next round, champ?
We sure are. It's good to be staying up with the content, right?
That's right. That's right. All right.
We're excited about it.
That's right. We are. Awesome.
Okay, so welcome another episode of our questions that the fans write in. So we have a lot of questions, and we'll get to as much as we feel like getting to, because we're going to eat and then we're going to do a little workout here. So, all right. So the first question is going to be, and these are people that wrote in through the YouTube, Instagram, whatever. Would you ever consider opening up a Jay Cutler gym? I know for sure the city of Las Vegas would back you up. Always been a thought process of mine. Gyms aren't usually the best money makers, and as you guys know, I'm involved with a lot of businesses that are successful, and time is the least thing that I have on my, in my favor. So I travel a lot. I like to kind of manage things a little bit, and I like to be kind of hands-on. So I think the gym business could be something that in the future I would look upon, but I'm not going to look at it as upon a revenue stream. It would just hopefully be able to pay for itself. But it's about finding location, owning the property. I'd love to own the building. So eventually I'd like to have a one-stop shop where I have, part of my nutrition, although I have an East Coast location. Cutler Nutrition, the athletic brand. I'm working on another clothing brand now behind the scenes. My main offices and a gym all in one spot. And I want it to be central, so I'd have to be close to the Strip. As people know that live in Las Vegas, the real estate has gone up tremendously because of all the Golden Knights and now the Raiders coming, the Raiders Stadium. My current office is literally, you can see the Raiders Stadium from that. So something that I thought about maybe to secure my legacy even further, but it won't be something that I'm trying to open up Jay Cutler's World Gym or whatever else. I'd like to have a destination gym, but maybe 10,000 feet. That would be a good size, because we'd have a turf, we'd have a full functional gym. That would be the main thing. But yes, I have thought about it, but not anything in the next year, that's for sure. And during this time when gyms are shut down, it wouldn't be the best thing. So how important was your upbringing for your bodybuilding career? So I posted a picture yesterday, and this came in yesterday, when I showed a picture of my brothers and my dad and myself doing concrete forms. And we poured foundation, so we did like the basements, the walls, so we set the forms, and I started doing that age 11. That's my family business. My brothers are still currently doing it. My oldest brother's about 12 or 13 years older than me. All right, so before we had an interruption, we were talking about the work ethic, and I was forced to work after school, weekends, school vacations, all that stuff, but at the time I thought it was like the worst life in the world, but it really taught me a lot of dedication. You're kind of like, you grew up in the fall seasons and the winters, and that mentality is a little different. So when I came to the West Coast, that was our dream, right? To move out to California and live in the sun. And I know, like in the East Coast, like the weather can be amazing one day and then be terrible the next. Like it can literally be sunny and 60 one day and the next day it snows. So I was working in all those conditions, and definitely that upbringing really taught me a lot for what it took for me to get into bodybuilding and be able to endure all the hardships and the successes and not be overwhelmed by the successes. I think that's really what it came down to. So I owe my family a lot. I always give credit to my brothers and my father for making me work those long hours. And shoot, we work 14, 15-hour days almost every day.
Can I bring something up that Chris has said? Chris Aceto actually had said on one of his podcasts with Dave. He said that when you were really young, like 11, 12, 13 years old, it was so hard for you to get up sometimes early in the morning to go to work and stuff. You asked your dad one of these days, you said, "Dad, can I not go today? Can I just stay at home?" And he just flat out told you no.
No, because he said, "I'm going. I'm a 65-year-old man, and I'm going." So I mean, he always kind of somewhat put a guilt trip on me, but I would go out partying or whatever in high school and on the weekends, and I didn't want to get up and go to work or some of the school vacations while all the other kids, they're heading to the swimming hole or whatever, the rope swings that we used to go to in the summer, and I'm like, yeah, I might have to work all day, and they're like, I know they're doing it. Thank God social media didn't exist then, because I would have been even more disappointed if I was breezing through social media. So it made a difference. Like I said, I was successful because of the hardships, but it wasn't the most favorable upbringing, in my opinion. I didn't get to enjoy myself as much, so that's why it's important for me now to do that. What's my favorite sport besides bodybuilding? I would probably say football. I mean, I was a football player. I followed basketball and I followed football. This year's been a little weird because basketball season ended kind of early, but I was inspired by, the length of, like the basketball season. I never been a huge baseball fan, although I like watching golf sometimes. If I was to watch any live sport, it would actually be baseball, though. Like, I love going to the Angels games or whatever. I heard eventually we're going to have a team in Las Vegas, actually, a professional team. So, but probably football, just because I guess you consider it most of the impact sport. But I do like watching golf, which is pretty chill also. I mean, I've seen some great athletes in my era, growing up, and I get to see the Jordan, I get to see the Tiger Woods, now we see the LeBron James and, the Tom Brady era, which is crazy. So, how important of a role does genetics play in bodybuilding? Great question. I mean, I think it's huge. I think you have to be able to grow each body part. We're all going to struggle with certain body parts, but you need the full package in order to be the best. And although there's been Mr. Olympias that have missing body parts as far as, like, they still had certain developed, right? They always said the calves or whatever. It's necessary to have the full structure, and we've seen guys transform into great bodybuilders. I mean, we saw Phil Heath, being, not as big to grow into becoming an unbeatable Mr. Olympia. You saw me battle the years of Ronnie Coleman, who was undeniably the best. Like, he had pretty much all the body parts. Dorian Yates had a lot of body parts, although they weren't the best in the lineup. Like, there were other bodybuilders with more individual body parts that were better. And we all have our favorite physiques. I mean, but I think you have to have the genetics to be able to grow muscle bellies. You have to have the genetics to be able to get lean enough. Like bodybuilders, you've seen the off-season, the pre-contest, like bodybuilders don't even look like bodybuilders, right? Some of the guys get super heavy, and the hard part is if they actually try to stay lean and they can't stay lean, that's a problem. I mean, we know a lot of bodybuilders, like Lee Priest, for example, that just got extra heavy, but he could stay lean in the off-season, just chose not to, right? So I think genetics does play an important role. You have to have, I had an incredible width with my physique, with my shoulders always. So for me, it was, it was something that, let's put it this way, when I was a teenager, people aren't surprised to see what I did for a living later, because I feel I had good genetics for it, although I had to work hard for certain body parts. Can I become a pro bodybuilder after age 40? That's the biggest question mark. Now, I would say in Masters, yes. In Men's Open, no. And you can't just start training at the age of 40 and think that, okay, I'm going to become the next Mr. Olympia, because I think it's really hard for a bodybuilder to start and be able to build the density in that age, because you start losing muscle mass as you get older. And listen, we can talk about Dexter Jackson and these guys and how you know, how great he was back when he won in '08 and before that. And he says, well, I'm just as good now. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think he's lost muscle mass in certain areas. And you know, you watch him train all the time. I mean, you end up losing your legs first, and I think we've seen that with a lot of bodybuilders. We saw it with Kevin Leverone when he came back. Even towards the end of my career, my legs weren't as dominant as they prior were earlier in my career. So, and I retired at 40. I just think it's really hard to maintain that density. And yes, you can turn pro and masters, but I'm not talking masters. That didn't exist when I was up and coming. That wasn't an option. But I think to become a pro, can you put on muscle? Absolutely. But I think you're very limited.
It's funny you interpret the question that way, because I kind of understood it as you've been training for a long time, but you're not a pro. So can you still get to pro status after 40?
Well, it just depends on how advanced you are, but I think it's very difficult because you start to regress.
Yeah.
You know, definitely you reach a peak in your end of your 30s. No one peaks in their 40s necessarily and becomes the best. We saw Roden win at 43, and he was the oldest one tied with Dickerson, right?
Yeah.
And like he had been great for a while.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, Phil Heath was off and whatever else. I mean, it's kind of like the Ronnie thing. Ronnie got too old and then I won. So I was younger. I just think it's really hard to become, you know, to turn pro, start training and turn pro if you're just going to pick up weights and start doing it. What is the best time to use all your products? So the question was kind of advanced, but you can kind of talk a little bit. He was asking about Safeguard.
Right. So I received this DM about someone who actually bought all your products, including Amplify, Prevail, the BCA, what's it called? What's it? BCA? Generate. Okay. And those were kind of self-explanatory, but you can still talk about it a bit. But he also had the Safeguard, he had the Triumph, and he had all three of them: the Vitamin, the Fat Burner, and the Test Booster. So he was kind of wondering when those three would be the best time to use based on what you think.
Listen, for Triumph, I would take it before training, like 30 minutes before, okay? With the Safeguard, I take it in the middle of your first meal. And then even in this phase, I would take, extra. I mean, it's 3 capsules, so I definitely would take that, sometimes twice a day. But just to make sure you have the extra boost up, it has all the vitamins and, vitamin C, all that stuff, you're looking for. But all the pre-workouts are taken 15 minutes prior. So if you're going to take the Prevail or Amplify, I would use that prior to training. If I was to use aminos, I would drink them while I train. So Generate should be used while training, and then post-workout should be your isolate protein or whatever, maybe like some carbohydrate combo. I'm launching a carbohydrate product next. But if you're not drinking the aminos while you train, take them post-workout, mix them in with the shake, whatever else. I don't know, it depends on what your whole thing is, but you're kind of wasting things if you're taking protein shake and aminos at the same time, in my opinion. But I would definitely use something while you train. When you're training and you're using glycogen and your body's burning like it is, especially with the hydration side of the Generate products, because that's coconut water powder in there and Himalayan sea salt. So it's going to drive those aminos in there, essential aminos and all the branch chains, and it's going to keep your body fueled for the training. And that's going to give you the most benefit. But as far as a test booster, that kind of stuff, I mean, taking it probably 30 minutes prior to training, it seems to be the best to peak the testosterone up. And then, your fat burner, I would only use prior to doing cardio. So if you're going to do fasted cardio in the morning, you take the fat burner. If you're really trying to boost the metabolism, you take the fat burner twice a day. So you take 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. Just don't take it too late because you don't want to take any caffeine products as later in the day. Protein should be used, like I said, after training or first thing in the morning. If you get up and you're one of these people like you that thinks that you can't do fasted cardio without taking in either aminos or protein, which I never did, by the way, then you use the protein during that time. Just make sure it's a clean protein, and you go from there. So, and then I have Cognition. Cognition's another product. So instead of drinking coffee, you can use Cognition, but that's more of a clarity, and you can use that when you have to get ready for exams, or you're playing video games, or you have to give a speech or whatever else. I mean, talk or to pay attention, do Zoom calls, whatever it is. That's a great product for that too. Okay. Do you feel like supplements are better today than the 80s and 90s? Absolutely. Everything's advanced. We've seen that that field kind of like the types of products people use. I always say that the physiques have changed, not only because of the weight equipment, but because of the supplementation. I mean, we didn't have, like, think about aminos even 2 years ago. We didn't have essential necessarily mixed with branched chains, the combination. Now everyone's making those. Isolate proteins, it used to be more concentrates and blends and whatever. You have more of the cleaner isolate protein, although you can have cheaper versions. Weight gainers were way bigger back in the day, which now today they're not as essential. People are coming up with real food replacement powders. Your fat burners have advanced. I mean, it used to be basically caffeine and ephedra or whatever. Now you have the nootropics in there, like I have in the Sculpt. I mean, you have the cognition type supplements that are in your pre-workout, so it's more focused rather than just crazy amount of stims and caffeine. So the products have advanced. We've seen, people make progression with physiques, but the diet's still the crucial thing. You got to stay on the diet. You used to sell products at the Max Muscle store, I mean, things have advanced so much better.
Yeah.
Not to say that some of the old products are great. I mean, listen, straight creatine is a great product. If I was to suggest like an off supplement that necessarily I don't even sell, a straight creatine after you train is awesome. Like, I would take that. If I was training for Olympias, I would use creatine all the time. You do gain size with it. I think it gives you a lot more volume to the muscle, but that's just my opinion. It worked well for me, and I did use it, and I've always been suggestive of it. That's one of the questions that people ask me. What are some of your max weights?
Yeah, specifically they wanted to know leg press, but I don't know if you ever kept track of your leg press weight, but yeah, in general.
I mean, most of the leg presses I did only held 10 or 12 plates aside.
Right.
And I mean, the thing is with me, I always focused on full repetition. So it drives me crazy sometimes when I go to the Mecca and you see the guys with the smallest legs pressing all those plates on the leg press. It makes no sense, and they're moving it like I don't even know what the point is. So for me, I never really cared much about the weights, but I mean, I always said I bench press like over 500 pounds for a couple reps, and I toyed with the heaviest dumbbells. I did 200-pound presses in a flex photo shoot for 1 rep. I used to row 180s every workout for repetitions. But I never really, deadlifted 500 pounds for many reps. I never really went much above that. But never really one of my things to break records and be in the gym. I just always was focused on the pump and what I did to basically get the volume to the muscle. It really doesn't coincide with bodybuilding to do 1 rep or 2 rep maxes. I mean, we never do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you just switch up your training style a little bit recently.
Yeah.
And you're doing like volume training.
A lot of volume, yeah.
And it's killing you, right?
It's killing me, yeah.
So you always want to try something new and different for different plateaus. And like all this time, people are like, man, I'm limited on what I can do. And fortunately, like, you're trying not only training in a different place, but you're also trying a whole different workout routine than you're used to doing, so you're not driving to Venice every day.
Yeah, I have a different training partner, and he just said, hey, we actually filmed the first video, for JTV, like workout. So I was like, hey, I'll try something new. I'm open to all kinds of different way of training, and I think it's good to change it. I mean, when I train with you, we don't train the same way I train with Eric. I kind of adopt your style, and man, I remember when we did legs back last time at the Fit Expo in Anaheim. I was sore for like days, remember? Yeah. So it's always good to change. I think it's always good to do something new and outside your comfort zone, outside the box. It can't hurt,
Yeah, I think the main thing is if it hurts, don't do it. And I mean, you called me the other day and said, man, my legs are hurting.
My knees were killing me. Yeah.
So I said, man, why do you do that? If it hurts, I'm not suggested to do it. And the problem is some people email me and they're like, Jay, everything hurts. Like, my shoulders hurt and my knees hurt. And this is sometimes the older people. Or sometimes, I used to train with Victor, and he complained about every exercise. Like, my back hurts, my knees hurt. You're too young for that kind of stuff. So I would suggest getting the therapy, getting the stretching. You've been seeing Steve Murphy up until all this craziness happened. But that's what's beneficial. You have to get that work done in order to stay healthy. Yeah. And if you want to have long-term success, that's what you need to do. So you need to just be smart about the training. This is a time it's going to do a lot of people, their body really good to to have the rest and to take care of like tendonitis pain and get their mind into what they're doing, so when they come back, they're going to be super excited about things. So, listen, guys, keep writing in your questions. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe now. Let us know what you think. Comment below on this video. If you want your question to be featured on our next segment, please write the question below, the full question, and we'll copy and paste those, and you could have the next question on here. And I appreciate all the support always. We're going to keep driving out the content. Stay safe and keep killing as much as we can. We're all excited to be back in the gym, and it's going to happen before we know it. So,
Hope.
all right. Cool.